This is Michael McKeon, aka Morris Fletcher, aka Chuck McGill. You know who I am. But it's time for Inside the Gilliverse with Eric Broadbent.
You're watching Inside the Gilliverse, talking all things Pluribus, Breaking Bad, El Camino, and Better Call Saul. Brought to you by the Royal Baubles Collection at bobbleheads.com. For all your favorite characters from the Gilliverse, shop the Royal Baubles Collection at bobbleheads.com. Also brought to you by Shure Microphones, the official microphone supplier of Inside the Gilliverse. 100 years of extraordinary sound. See their full product lineup today at shure.com.
Say my name.
Now, please welcome your host, Eric Broadbent.
It's showtime, folks.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for Season 4, Episode 4 of Inside the Gilliverse, talking all things Breaking Bad, El Camino, Better Call Saul, and Pluribus. My name is Eric Broadbent, and it comes with great pleasure to welcome tonight's guest. I'm going to bring him on here in just a second. I often refer to him as the best dressed in the Gilliverse, and that might be disputed by maybe Bob Odenkirk and Saul Goodman. We'll see. But anyways, let's bring him on right now, Mr. Samba Schutte. Samba, how are you?
Hey, Eric. How's it going? Hi, everybody.
It's doing fantastic. Do you like that title, The Finest Dressed in the Gilliverse?
Oh, yeah, I'll take it. Yeah. I mean, I have a new outfit every scene, so.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
You know, because Bob's, Jennifer Bryan, who worked on Better Call Saul with Bob's suits, our costume designer, she would say that Bob's suits were always a little too big, a little too schluppy to make him look, a bit schluppy himself.
Yep.
Mine are tailored and well fit, so I would take that title over Bob any day.
Yes, yeah. I'm glad you pointed that out because I know she did some great work with Walter White's character. Like when he was sick, whatever, they put him in bigger clothes, right? To make him look like he was sick, whatever. But I didn't know that. Well, I did know she was taking care of everything, but I didn't know the factor about the big clothes as opposed to yours is tailored.
Yeah. Yeah, well fit. I'm dressed to the nines. That was the description in my audition, and they stuck with that throughout the whole shoot.
And I've watched your Instagram closely too, and it's like you've taken that and you've ran with it. It's almost like it's become a part of your personal life now.
Yeah, I've never worn this many suits in my life, and I like that he's a man of style. Because before this, I was on a pirate show. I was on Our Flag Means Death, and that talk about the opposite, just dirt on me, clothes that have been worn for years, just very, very the opposite of Mr. Clean Kumba Diabaté was living his life. This was very, very refreshing.
It's got to feel nice, eh? Like look good, feel good. I always have that motto: look good, feel good. Like I've worked from home a lot, and over the years in a previous career, but I always, even working for myself, I'd get up, get dressed, have a shower, look good, feel good, and it made your day.
Yeah, as soon as I'd put those shoes on and my costume on, I was him. Yes, makeup helps and the hair helps and the supermodels help. But to be honest, to get into that character, literally I'd be in my trailer in my own clothes, shorts or whatever, and then I'd put on the suit and the shoes and bam, it was so instant. It was so good. And they'd run up to me with cases full of rings and watches and be like, what do you want to wear today? I'm like, I could choose one out of like 100 different Rolexes or different rings, and I could just play with who I wanted to be. Oh, today I feel like having Tom Brady's Super Bowl ring. Sure, let me just put that on.
Yeah, and it's almost like having a buffet, all you can eat, right?
Yeah. So I love that everyone was super excited to play with this character, from props to costumes to set design to everything that was around.
Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic. Earlier today, just to get in the mood for the show, I was watching a couple of your other interviews, and we watched season 1, of course, but episode 2 where you made your first appearance. Just get back into the zone again. But I accidentally discovered your YouTube channel. You have a YouTube channel.
I do, but you don't have to tell people that. It's mostly baking videos and
it's okay though, but
I did years ago.
But it's good because I knew you did comedy, but I watched a couple of little clips that you put up, and it was good to get in the mood. Like you were doing like a couple snippets you had taken from it, and you were talking about mosquitoes and how we get those bad here in Canada. But also air travel and things like that. So it was nice to see that. And I guess maybe this isn't a scripted question, but has your comedy tour brought you to a lot of places before you got into acting heavily? Has it brought you to some places you would have not normally seen?
Yeah, I started my comedy career in Holland. I went there to study theater when I was 18 after growing up in Africa. And I didn't know I wanted to become a comedian. I knew I wanted to become an actor, but then my university had an open mic. And so I was like, I'm going to do a comedic monologue that I wrote. And I ended up doing it using a microphone, and everyone thought, that's stand-up comedy. I was like, really? That's stand-up comedy? So that kind of is how it started. And then I started touring more in Holland, and then I won a big award there that really exploded my career. And I got to perform and tour with comedy specials around the world, not just for Dutch people, but Dutch people are everywhere in the world. So I got to go to Asia, to Africa, to the Caribbean. And I mean, one country in particular that I'll never forget is Libya. Remember Gaddafi and Libya and all that war situation?
Yep.
So apparently they're Dutch expats there because of oil. And they were like, we need a comedian. I'm like, Libya? So I flew to Libya and I did comedy, but I could not make jokes about Gaddafi. I could not make jokes about the politics of the leadership or even the flag, which is just like a green tissue. It's just green. And they're like, you can't even do that joke. I was like, oh, okay. And that was intense because I felt really under surveillance. And when I applied to come to America with my visa, they were like, okay, everything looks good in your passport, but what's this? I'm like, oh, I performed in Libya. They're like, Libya? Sir, could you come this way, please? With the glove. So yeah, that was interesting.
That is too funny. And I think it was what Dave Chappelle was watching on Netflix. He was talking the same thing too. Sometimes getting out of America, doing some of these comedy, he gets to say things that aren't really, they're not off limits. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, and every audience is different. I mean, people have jokes that work everywhere, talking about family or sports or dating. But there are specific things that you can't talk about in Holland that you can talk about in America because of cultural things like the Super Bowl or whatever. That's not known in Holland as much as it is here. And in Holland, vice versa. Like you can talk about cows and windmills and cheese. In America,
have you had any hecklers that have thrown you for a curve, or have you ever had a time where it was a tough one to rebound from?
Yeah, I'll never forget this one. I think I was 2 or 3 years in, so still kind of fresh and trying to develop my humor. And I was making a joke about, growing up in Africa, and it was in some village in the north of Holland, somewhere in the middle of nowhere. And I was talking about, coming from Africa, and I was very physical on stage because I do a lot of physicality, and I, do the Lion King song and all this kind of stuff. And some of the crowd started making monkey chants during my act, and I was like, okay, either I can continue or I can just stop and just, not humiliate myself that way. But luckily, it was not the whole audience. So the people who were not doing monkey chants turned around to that half of the audience. So it was like, shut up. We paid money to see this guy perform. Why are you here being racist if you paid money for a ticket? Like, it doesn't make sense. So the audience kind of were on my side eventually, and I kept going. But I remember going, ew, this is not pleasant.
I can imagine. I call it, I have a term for that. Like, it's just like in the music world too, where I live kind of, it's like the caboose of the train going off the track. And it's like, you have a moment here, we can either pull this back, you might lose a car or two, or you're going to derail. And we prefer not to derail. So let's get everything back on track. And it sounds like you did that. That's fantastic. But also too, that's the thing, like you'll have a few of those things. And even like in live theater, do you do live theater too?
I used to in Holland, yeah.
Okay,
and over here, in America, when I came, I used to do community theater, which is basically, it was with this group called Teatro de la Realidad, where we did Spanish spoken plays. So I had to learn Spanish for those, where we'd talk about issues in the community, and we'd perform them in like Latino communities specifically, and do the play, and then after the play, be able to answer questions from the audience and kind of talk about the issues that we were addressing. So that was really fun because it's like not in a theater setting. It was really outdoors.
Right.
In neighborhoods, which was a lot of fun.
But with the reason why I brought up theater is like you don't get that chance. Oops, that was a bad line. I can do better next time. Let's do another take. You really don't get that opportunity. So same thing with stand-up. You're learning it. You're getting your chops, and eventually that becomes your repertoire and your licks if you're compared to music.
I mean, I used to be known as One Take Samba, but not now, not anymore.
Oh, no?
I'm too tired. I'm a dad. I can do most things in one take. Like for Vince's show, obviously for Pluribus, I wanted to be the top of my game. And sometimes because we'd have long days and long days of shooting, my close-ups would only be 1 or 2 takes tops. And so I'd have to nail it in those takes because of, time running out and people having to be sent home because of hours. So yeah, for that, I was top of my game. Yeah. to take samba.
And that's good. That's good. I could appreciate. So you've seen that on a T-shirt or something as a little hashtag or something. But you got some big, big characters around you, big actors with big talent. So I can imagine sometimes there's pressure too as well. You want to be one of the team, and imagine too sometimes it might almost make you feel guilty as a new actor coming into it, not yourself, but a new actor coming in, and you're thinking, oh, I made a mistake. I'm wasting everybody's time, and you get that guilt. But imagine over time. Again, you learn those chops, you get it, and everyone makes mistakes. So they're not going to be like, come on, man, I want to go home, right?
Right. No, and what was very special about Pluribus was that Vince has been working with this crew for decades.
Yes.
A lot of them. So it felt very much like family, and everyone was very supportive, including Ray, who, when I got the job, called me up to welcome me to the show, which I've never had a number one on the call sheet do before, but also wanted to rehearse scenes with me so we could all feel comfortable. And she told me, Samba, listen, Vince is going to shoot the shit out of this. Like, we're going to cover it from every single angle. He's going to give a lot of direction because they're trying to, nail the tone of it. And so if you're doing something and they're like, no, not that, try something else, it's not because you're bad. It's because they're trying to find the tone and they know that you can handle it. That's why you're booked here, because you're a talented enough actor to be able to take direction. So she was really the one that helped me kind of relax into it and not be nervous that I was going to let everyone down, because everyone really felt supportive. And while we were shooting it, we were really feeling that we're making something special here and unique here. And you could feel that. And so everyone wanted to make everyone shine to their best ability, from cast to crew.
Well, that's a well-oiled machine, and it says a lot about the people he invests in and brings into the family. Everything from Breaking Bad, El Camino, Better Call Saul, and of course Pluribus. Now, you're hearing that same thing. People are rehearsing lines together. Sometimes they're living together on set for a while. Like Patrick and Ray and Bob did for quite some time. Running their lines, and that's really, really good to have that. But I can imagine, getting a call from Ray would have been great. And Veska shared a really cool story with us, and it was so sad. It's a great story, but we were running about 20 minutes talking. We thought we were live, and we weren't. It was an error on my part, and he was telling me about getting the call. Did he ever tell you about when his dad was in the hospital? And it was nothing too serious. He had pneumonia or something, but he recovered. He was fine. But he got the news that he was in the big pool. Like, I don't know how many people were running for his character for Manusos. I'll try to make this a very short story. And he was getting
700 something.
Yeah, right. So that's crazy. How many for Diabaté?
I heard over 1,500 submitted, and they whittled it down to like something on like 180, and then down to 35, and then down to me. So literally a search all over the world.
Wow.
Yeah, which makes it really special.
Well, I'll ask you about what your reaction was like in the call, and I believe it was from Vince and maybe Trina, maybe, I'm not sure, but
yeah.
So Veska's telling me, his wife was really worried for him because he was nervous, as you would be, right?
Yeah.
And so his dad went in the hospital. He didn't know about this, and I think he was about to get the call that day. He was the last two, or maybe he got the gig. And he calls his wife, and his wife seemed very kind of just short and sweet on the phone, not lovey-dovey, whatever. And okay, well, you got this. And so he hangs up. He's like, that's weird. Then he was talking to his sister after, and his sister says, well, did you hear Dad's in the hospital? And he's like, no. Calls his wife and says, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me? She goes, I didn't want you to worry you. This is a big thing for you. So it was such a touching story,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh, that's so stressful to have. That's how poetic life can be, right? You have the amazing news and the sad news happening at the same time.
But and it was good. Everything it's a happy ending because the dad recovered and everything. But it goes to show the support that you have, like both on set and with family, that really support you as well. So that was cool.
Yeah, but for Veska, I love hearing his story because it was such a big deal. He's a man from Colombia who never dreamed about working in Hollywood, and to be able to work not only just in Hollywood, but with Vince Gilligan, who I consider someone who's made the best TV shows in my generation anyway. What a dream, for him to be able to come here to America and film and be a part of this. It's just, what a dream. So yeah, I love his story.
I just love the fact that it's got doors for all of you, especially too, like now it's like the world sees you now, which I'm saying they didn't before, but you're on a global stage now that is like, wow.
Oh, yeah. This is the biggest show I've ever been a part of. I mean, Sunnyside and Our Flag Means Death were great, but it was a very niche audience because at the time, not everyone had HBO Max around the world. Now everyone has Apple. I think we premiered to over 100+ countries, and I'm getting messages from fans all over the world, and to the point where everyone was so excited to watch the show that the Apple app crashed on the premiere night, which is just so strange to me. Like, it's like, what? So the engagement has been amazing, and it's just so surreal and amazing to be a part of something that's global.
I know, I know. Well, we just talked about 1,500 some odd possible candidates that were in there. So let's winding down. You're down to the last few. Let's talk about that phone call, getting the call that you got. And I'd love to relive this with you.
My gosh, so it was a stressful process just because I was a month into being a new father. My other show had just been canceled the day my son was born. So I was kind of like in a funk, just like, what am I gonna do next? I'm just here taking care of this baby, trying to keep him alive. And then I get an audition for an untitled Vince Gilligan project. And of course, I was super excited because A, it's Vince Gilligan, and B, I'd always wanted to audition for our amazing casting directors, Sharon Bialy, Russell Scott, and Sherry Thomas, because I'd been big fans of their work. They've done everything from Walking Dead to The Handmaid's Tale and all that. So I do the best I can with the audition. I feel happy with it. I'm literally reading with my wife who's breastfeeding in the other room, just, because we can't be in the same room.
Sure.
And I send the tape in, and I don't hear anything for 5 months.
Oh.
And I'm like, it's gone. By then it's gone, you think, because usually you hear maybe the next day, maybe the next week, maybe 2 weeks. 5 months, the job is over. You got to move on with your life. So I'm bummed, I didn't get the job. And then 5 months later, literally 5 months later, I get an email. Hey, you have a callback tomorrow for that Vince Gilligan thing. I was like, oh, yeah, I had to remember what I did, how, oh my gosh. So I had to get myself in the right headspace, remember what I did the first audition. And this was going to be a Zoom callback live with, Sharon Bialy, the casting directors. And so I'm kind of nervous, but, here we go. I do the callback, and I do my audition the way I did my audition. And then they say, okay, stop. Forget everything you're doing. This character is the complete opposite. I was like, oh, shoot. Like, yeah, he's not confident. Because I played him really confident and really smooth and sleek. And they're like, no, he is a bit more awkward. He is not as smooth. He was not successful with women before he got all this stuff. He was not coming from a rich family or a rich life. So this is all new to him. So make him more like a kid in a candy store. And I was like, oh, okay. So I tried to lock in on that. Because the sides were dummy sides. They were not even real scripts from the audition was not real scripts from the actual show. It was just, I think it was about a music producer stealing another producer's client.
Okay.
Which ended up being the scene in episode 2 where Diabaté asks Carol if he can take Zoja with him. Vegas.
There you go.
So that's what it was, but different lines, different character names. I think the person I was talking to was called, some George or something. Like it was a guy stealing a client from. So I do the audition again. I make him more awkward, more a kid in the candy shop. And they're like, yeah, that was good. Let's do it again. But this time just, hit the nuances. So they gave me another shot. And usually when a casting director does that during an audition, you're like, oh, maybe they like me. Maybe they like what I'm doing because they're giving me another shot. So I did that, finished, end of tape, end of callback. I don't hear anything for, I think, another 2 weeks. So I'm like, oh, God, this job is stressing me out. And finally, I get the email from my manager. Hey, you're in the final run. And the next day, you got it. And boom, I get a call from Vince Gilligan wants to talk to you. And of course, I'm like,
oh,
screaming.
Boy.
And Vince calls me with Trina, the producer, and he welcomes me to the show. He's so jovial. He's like, so lovely to meet you. I'm a huge fan. And don't tell him this is my impression of him.
He'll see it.
It's like a Southern Mickey Mouse. That's not what Vince sounds like. This is my horrible impression of him. But he was so sweet to welcome me to the show. And that's, Eric, when I found out what the story was about. Before this, we had no idea. They didn't tell us anything.
Okay.
So that's when he tried to break down what the story is about, who this character is, and what's going on. And that's when I had to kind of wrap my head all around it. I was blown away by the concept and by who this character was and what I will get to do. And finally, he sent the scripts over and I got to read them. And I was just so excited to step into that. I think a month after that, we started shooting. But we started shooting with the Vegas episode first, not episode 2. We started shooting with episode 6.
Okay.
So that was a bit stressful because you're like working backwards.
Yeah.
You kind of have to know who the character is already
as
an actor before you go to set. So that's when it was very helpful that Ray called me to welcome me, got to rehearse. We got to shoot a lot in Vegas to find the tone, find out who this character is, and with Ganja, our director, with Vince. So that was just the journey of it. It was such a long journey because I think it was a span of 7 months total before I started from audition to being on set. And it was a dream come true. It was really a dream come true because never in a million years did I think I'd work with Vince Gilligan. I'd hoped it, but to get the part, and then once I heard, how many people had auditioned for it, it was just a dream. And
Yeah.
Vince is so nice. It's so nice as a creator because he made the character Mauritanian, which is where I'm from. He was already French speaking in the dummy side auditions, but he made him Mauritanian. He changed his name because Vince asked me like, "What are some Mauritanian names?" So I gave him some last names because we kept Kumba. In the audition, he was known as Mr. Kumba.
And that's
And
a
I was like,
female
"Oh,
name for mother, right? Or like
that's
you take the
right.
mother's name?
That's right. So that's a woman's name. And the only reason a man would take a woman's name is if his mother has passed away during childbirth to honor his mom. So I was like, oh, that's genius for this character. He really gave me an in to who this guy was. And Vince is like, oh, I didn't know. I just Googled, African names. And I was like, it's genius. Just take the credit, Vince. You came up with this name. You came up with this backstory for the character. And so Kumba Diabaté was born. And that's when we started shooting.
That's fantastic. I don't mean to laugh. I'm just trying to keep a straight face. When you do the Vince Gilligan impersonation, I'm going to have to get you. I should have did that at the top of the show. Hi, this is Vince Gilligan.
Hi, everybody. This is Vince Gilligan on Inside the Gilliverse. He's going to kill me. He's
I love
kill
it.
off my character. Season 2, he's going to kill off my character right away.
Well, Vesca said they brought a lot of Colombian things for him that made it like there were some things. I think it was like the little frogs. And I forget they were. He's going to kill me for not remembering this, but something with the frogs. And he said that's something that was nature in Colombia. And did they bring something in for you, like, or did you suggest things, or like, was to make you feel like the character was at home?
Yeah, so I worked with Jennifer Bryan once I was cast for what's the first thing we'll see this character in when he opens the door to Air Force One. And she really wanted to make a suit that had African Mauritanian elements to it. And so she found this fabric that's called batik, which is the fabric we use to make our clothes back home. And she wanted to combine both Western and African. And so she made it in the style of a tuxedo with our amazing tailor, Shannon Short. And they came up with this amazing suit that's not only just a formal like tuxedo, but in the style of an African fabric that you'd find back there. And I just loved that they did that callback. And so that immediately when you see the character open the door to the plane, you see, okay, he's stylish, he's smooth, but at the same time, he's, presenting himself as a man, an international man, a man from somewhere interesting. And I love that they incorporated that for him. Yeah.
All through it's authenticity.
Yeah.
Everything is authentic.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
And also the French I get to speak. I was able to translate the lines from English to French. In French, that would be more spoken where I'm from, rather than Parisian French that you'd hear. Like some expressions and some things were more how I would speak with my mom or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Well, since you mentioned you started with episode 6, you were doing Vegas shots here. This is a question from Karina. She says, "What was the most interesting or intriguing thing about filming in the Elvis suite?" And were you an Elvis fan growing up?
I mean, I knew Elvis's music. He's known as a king of rock, and I'm a Michael Jackson fan, the king of pop, and they are very much, the same hype in their generation.
Certainly.
And so I knew Elvis's music, and I knew, his story, and don't forget his manager, the Colonel, was Dutch, and I'm half Dutch, and so there's always that story to Elvis's story. So filming in Elvis's suite was amazing. I did not know we were going to film at that hotel. But as soon as you walk in, you see a huge statue of Elvis there. It used to be called the International, and there's all these posters of Elvis performing at the International. I think that's where he did his last residency, or he was there for 8 years or whatever.
Okay.
And so where we filmed the poker scene is where his bedroom was.
Oh.
And his bed, where the headboard was where the villain is, Blofeld, or whatever they called him, with the one eye patch. That's where his bed was. And so to know all this history about the hotel and that it was inhabited by Elvis's spirit, because a lot of people say it's haunted literally by his ghost. Did we experience a few hauntings? Not me personally, but the crew did say, some of them, that they'd see flickering lights, that in their bedrooms, the shower would turn on at night, which is like, I get a faucet running for a second, but a shower turning on that's someone doing that. That's not an accident. Like no one That doesn't happen.
No, no.
And the typical TV volume went up as they were watching. So that was really fun to hear that there's some spookiness happening at that hotel. Maybe it was Elvis messing with us, but
You never know.
it was a lot of fun to shoot that poker sequence in Elvis's suite. That was day 3 of filming. For me.
Okay. The villain that you referred to there, it reminds me of flashbacks for me for Robert Wagner's number 2 in Austin Powers. You watch Austin Powers?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good.
No, I love the eye patch, and he didn't even need it at the end. He's just like, I can still see with both eyes. It was just for Mr. Diabaté's pleasure to play a villain.
Yeah, that's good. And speaking of villains too, didn't you? You were at the Saturn Awards, which was a great thing the other night. I think you were tossing out some hopefuls. Hey, I wouldn't mind being a villain in one of the next Tom Cruise movies or something.
That's right. I got to meet Tom Cruise and John McQuarrie, and I got to pitch myself as a villain in the next movie. Because I got to hand them the award for Mission Impossible, and so I was like, hey, if you need a villain, he'll be lovable and goofy, but he'll be a villain.
Yeah.
Because John was a huge fan of Pluribus, which is so cool that people in the industry that you look up to watch our show.
I know. That's goosebumps, right?
Yeah, Ray told me the other day, Steven Spielberg watches our show. I was like, what?
And you met George Lucas and Mark Hamill too, I think,
Mark
right?
Hamill was backstage with George Lucas, which is just mind blowing. The amount of people I met there, Lawrence Fishburne and all that, and they don't know who I am. Most of them, they're just like, ha. But then to hear from a couple of them that, hey, I love Pluribus, man, you don't expect to hear that. So
No.
it was just so fun to be nominated at the Saturn Awards and to get to present. And
Yes, congratulations.
yeah, that was so fun. I'm just so glad that people love our show, but also, yeah, I've never been nominated before. I was nominated most likely to pull a rib when sneezing in high school or something, But
Well, you had a really tough category. You had some great colleagues in that. I mean, David, what's his last name? He played
Dave Dasmalkian.
Yeah, from Dexter. He was great.
And Murderbot. He's amazing.
Peter Dinklage.
Peter Dinklage was
Come
up
on.
in my category. Linda Hamilton from Terminator is in my category. What?
But you're there. That's phenomenal. And when one of your team wins, the team wins.
Yeah.
It's a team win. So it was nice to see. And so you mentioned Steven Spielberg, and I probably have a fact wrong. I'm usually whatever the fact is, I'm usually the opposite. But wasn't it a Steven Spielberg video game or something that got you inspired to act? Is that true?
Yes, that's a true story. Until this day, I can't wait to meet Steven Spielberg so he can sign this video game that I have. I still have it.
Good.
Cover. It's here. It's in my office. Yes, when I was 12 years old in Ethiopia, because I grew up in Ethiopia. I was born in Mauritania, and then in the 80s, because of the famine, my dad moved us to Ethiopia to help work there for the famine with the food and stuff. So I grew up in Ethiopia till I was 18. And when I was 12, my dad bought me this video game called Steven Spielberg's Director's Chair. And it's so funny to me because not many people know about it here in America. But it's a video game that was ahead of its time because it had like 8 discs, It was like one of those where you need to put a disc each time for each chapter. But it was literally you as a director working on the Universal lot with Steven Spielberg as your producer. And you get to make a movie. And you can choose which genre. It could be horror. It could be a bit of sci-fi. It could be comedy. It could be drama. So you go to the writer's room and you write your script. And then you can choose the length if it's going to be short or long. And then you shoot it. All right. You have a budget for 40 million or whatever. And you could get to shoot it. But then things happen like an earthquake in Los Angeles or, one of the actors won't come out of their trailer. Yeah. There's all this stuff happening. And then after shooting, you have to stay on schedule, right? Then you can edit it. And then you have a premiere, a red carpet premiere. And then you get a review in Variety. And it was just such a beautiful game for me because it, A, introduced me to Hollywood in a way. B, I was a huge Steven Spielberg's fan already. And C, to get to experience what it's like to write a script and to shoot and learn about different angles with the wide, the master, the close-up. It just cemented my desire to come here and work here at some point. I did not know how. You're a kid in Ethiopia. But I knew I wanted to do that. And so I owe it to Steven Spielberg's Director's Chair. And until this day, I can't wait to meet him. He probably forgot he made this video game because not many people know, but I want him to sign it, and that's my goal.
What was it like on a Sega CD or something? Because I'm trying to think of these the games like the early games like that would have obviously with disc, but even this PlayStation 1 had discs. But a lot of those early games on the Sega CD had that type of thing. Do you remember the platform? What is it?
It was a PC. It was like
my
PC.
Okay.
Yeah, it was all PC, like this old computer, and then it would take forever to load. And yeah, so you'd use your mouse to click on which angles you want, and then you'd use your keyboard to write your script. And it was just it was old school, but still fascinating that I felt like I was on a movie set.
Yeah. Well, who knows? Maybe one day Vince will put you behind the camera instead of in front of it. Maybe you might get a chance to direct with him. That'd be quite nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I'd channel my inner 12-year-old and ruin Pluribus for
There you go.
everybody.
There you go. And you could say to Vince, this isn't like the game. It was so much easier in the game.
The game was so much easier. There's no earthquakes in Albuquerque.
That's right. I didn't have to worry about everybody was fed and,
Yeah. I'd love to direct at some point, but right now I'd let the pros do it. I can't wait to maybe get directed by Ray because she's directed.
Yes.
I think I'm fascinated by her vision, so that'd be fun to experience.
That would be great. I'll look forward to that if that happens, and I'm sure it probably will. Here's a couple good fan questions coming in. The first one, I apologize, I don't have the name who it's from, but the person says, Diabaté is the only survivor who didn't turn away from Carol when she was down. It seems like he sees himself in her to some extent. In your opinion, how might their dynamic play out in season 2?
That's a great question, and I'm so glad you noticed that because a lot of people are like, he's so mean to turn her away. He's the only one reaching out to her and welcoming her and staying around to talk to her. In my opinion, he's the one who voted for her to stay in the group chat. Him and maybe Otgon Bayar, right? The two sweet, like the sweet Mongolian. We all know how Lakshmi voted. But I love that we see that dynamic because in episode 2 you're like, who's this sleaze bag and what is his deal and this guy, but he's the last one to stay behind, yes, to ask if Zoja can come along, but also he's checking in on Carol, making sure she's okay. Episode 6, they all leave. Oh, sorry, my camera, there we go.
Yep.
Episode 6, they all leave, the others leave because they can't be in the same vicinity as Carol, don't take it personal, but Diabaté decides to stay because he's like, I owe it to her to have this conversation. And I love that he stays behind not only to tell her what's going on, he knows about the HDP, he knows about everything that's going on because he's not afraid to ask the others these questions. He makes her breakfast, he consoles her, he vouches for her on the phone. He's like, can't you guys just come back? And, she's so lonely. I love that we see those sides of him. He puts a blanket on her, he cares for her, but at the same time, he wants to live his life. And he knows that if she stays in Vegas, the others are not coming back because they can't be around Carol. So he's like, oh, she wants to stay a few days. How is that going to work for me? Because I like this life and I don't want to keep cooking my own breakfast. Mm-hmm. So that's why he's like, maybe you should go. But he offers her, he tells her, let them back in. Just come back. Let Zoja come back. She wants to be with you. But Carol's a bit stubborn, and then after 40 days, she's like, yes, come back. So he vouches for her, and I like that dynamic because he does see something of himself in her. I think more than anything, what I realized when I was playing this character is that he is lonely. He is maybe just as lonely as Carol, only he's deciding to cope with it by surrounding himself with entertainment because he's one of 13 people left in the world. I mean, 12 now, without any spoilers.
Yeah.
But so it must have done something to him. And, this is interesting what Vince is doing with this show is showing how people deal with change, right? Lakshmi is in denial. This is my son. This is my baby. Manusos wants to, thinks they're zombies and wants to turn it around. Carol wants to turn it around, finding a scientific solution. Diabaté wants to find a middle ground because he's like, this is the reality of it right now. Let's just try to keep them from starving and in the meantime be able to live our lives. So I love that Vince shows that, but I think more than anything, he's just as lonely as Carol is. He's craving human connection, which is that moment that they have eating the avocado toast sandwich. He's craving human ingenuity. And so I'm really curious to where they'll go in season 2 because I think at some point he has to interact with Carol. Whether that will be he's convinced that he wants to turn it around too, or he's completely sold on the other's world and will try to stop Carol from blowing them up using an atom bomb. It could go either way. And I have no idea where Vince is going with this, but I can't wait to have those scenes with Ray again because me and her was so fun to play because I literally would read her acting notes and they were always like, when it came to me because I frustrate the shit out of her, which I love. I get to throw a curveball in her plans or try to confront her with really rational arguments and counterpoints. But for her, it's so frustrating. So I can't wait to have scenes with her and hopefully with Manusos.
Yes, I know. That'd be something else. I think one of the things the show teaches us is be careful what you wish for. And I'll use an example of Diabaté. So he has a Lamborghini for every day of the week, a different color, which is phenomenal. And I mean, just anything you want, you can have. But this will go back to one of your little comedy things I saw on your YouTube channel. And there was a stand-up joke you had made, something like, I can't retell jokes, but basically someone says, why are you so happy? And you say, because I woke up. And, like, that's something we take for granted. It's nice to have a Lamborghini, different color for every day of the week, and live in Elvis's suite. I've often said this thing before. It's like, if I was to go steal Jimi Hendrix's Woodstock guitar, I can't show it to anybody. Because like, who am I going to show this guitar to? Well, you got all these things, and like, who are you going to show them to? And showing them to the hive mind is like, yes, we like your cars, Diabaté, they're great. But you want to show your buddy that you said one day I'm going to grow up and have a fancy car, and now you can't show them, right?
Right. So that's the thing where loneliness comes in too. Like he's living his wildest dreams. He's a kid in a candy store. But who can he really share that with? Yes, he's got the others to praise him because they love him.
Mm-hmm.
They love unconditionally. They love everyone unconditionally. So for him, he feels like he's allowed to do what he's doing because they're saying it's okay with us. We love that. That's where the whole idea of consent comes in. Like, who's consenting? Is it the others or is it the original person? Like, what's going on? But as far as he's concerned, he's like, so far, all I'm hearing is, we love you. We want you. You're free to do whatever you want and just enjoy it because that's all we want. We want you to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
So he's surrounding himself with what he thinks makes him happy. But like you say, who's he got it to share with aside from the other 12 survivors in their Zoom meetings every week?
Yeah.
And that's why I think when Carol comes, he's happy to have some human connection. And it's reminding him of, hey, yeah, this is what the world was, and this is what's missing. But yeah, maybe he's afraid to lose this life, and so doesn't want to address trying to end it or change it.
Yeah.
And it's only been 7 days when we see him in Vegas, compared to 70 days when we finally see Carol break down at the end. So I am curious to see Mr. Diabaté after 70 days. Like,
yes.
If you get everything you ever wished for a week, that's amazing.
Yeah.
For 2 weeks, maybe it's great. After a month and a half, 2 months,
It's gone. Novelty's gone. Yeah.
Right. So I'm curious to see where he's at.
The old cliche, silence is golden, is not always golden. It's sometimes deafening, right?
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
It's like, kids, quiet.
Yeah.
Then they're not making any noise. It's like, okay, I missed a little pitter patter of the feet, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to how we'll find him.
Yeah. There's a question from Anna Shatina. Now, you've pretty much answered this, but I'll ask it anyways. She says, do you think Diabaté will be less hedonistic in season 2? And of course, we talked about that. So when you can have everything you want, it's like maybe that buffet. It's like everything you want. Maybe you just want a grilled cheese sandwich after a while, right?
Yeah, exactly. If you've had the finest of the finest, and you've had all the things you ever dreamed of, and the best meals, the best massages, the best company, you can have Pedro Pascal read you a bedtime story. You've had all that.
I'd even like
What
Pedro
else
Pascal
is
to read me a
there?
bedtime story. I like it.
Yeah, right?
I like him. He's
Why
good.
not? Yeah. So after you've had all that, what else could you want that could top that? Aside from, I don't know, going to space or experiencing something ridiculous. So yeah, I don't know if he'll keep his hedonistic lifestyle in season 2. But like I said, I don't know where they're going. He could become the best ally to Carol, or he could become her best opponent.
Yeah.
If he's absorbed in this hedonistic lifestyle and does not want to let it go.
I have a feeling he's gonna keep coming back in. I think he's gonna want to be this solo guy and love like the endless everything, but it's gonna be that loneliness too. It's gonna be a real tug and pull and tug, with him.
Yeah, and also, have they found a way to turn him?
Yeah.
Have they had access to his stem cells?
Yeah.
Without telling him. So that's another thing. Once he finds out that they can turn him, is it all la la and playful and, oh, these guys are amazing, or is it okay? No, let's end this.
Well, just
team
like
Carol.
Zosha says, and I think it was actually in episode 2 where you make your first appearance. But Zosha says to Carol, when she's giving her the bottle of water, and she's like, "What's it? What, can you turn me from that? Whatever." And it's like, "No, we're about 6.5 weeks or several weeks away, several months away from being able to do that. So who knows what they can do for you, for Diabaté." Yeah.
Yeah. All I know is he's not willingly get turned, like
Yeah,
Kusimae
exactly.
was.
Yeah.
So that's going to be an interesting dynamic.
I agree. There's a good question coming up from Jen Stevens here in a second too. But before I go to that one, since we're talking about food, which is always a fan favorite, and I love food. Made a nice chicken dinner tonight myself. But you've been busy today. You had the celebrity baking thing this morning. Can you tell us a little bit about that and a little about what you'd like to do in the kitchen?
I'm a baker. I'm a home baker, but I love baking. I started it about 10 years ago when I started getting homesick and missing my mom's recipes because she's an amazing cook. So I'd ask her for some recipes, and you know how moms are. Like, I don't know, I put a pinch of this, and I don't know, I threw in some flour and I threw in some, like, how much, how many? Because baking is really math. And so I would pester her for recipes, and eventually I started getting them and started making them my own because I was homesick. And then eventually it just became a thing that relaxes me. It's my things I do on a day off, you know, like Ray paints and sculpts and knits, and I bake, and that's what I do. So I've created some cute recipes and fun recipes. And today I had a baking class to teach how to make my classic cheesecake. And that was a lot of fun because it's a virtual class on Zoom with some of the fans. Mostly they're from Our Flag Means Death because I played a cook on that show, the ship's cook. And so there were like 300 participants, and it was just a lot of fun to teach them how to make the cheesecake and also just have banter with fans. And so
It's for a good
baking
cause.
is a huge, yeah, baking is a huge part of my life, and I love food. I'm a foodie. I love food from all over the world. I'm so grateful to be international that way. Unless it's on set, like for that lunch scene in episode 2, Vince asked us all what we want to eat for that lunch scene, and he's like, pick carefully because you're gonna be eating this for 8 days. All right. And you know, when you have your favorite meal, so I was like, let me do poulet yassa, because that's like a special dish in Mauritania. It's like this chicken that's been marinated in lemon and onions, and it's grilled on the grill, and it's ashy, and it's beautiful and tender with this amazing rice. I was like, let's do that. And they're like, okay. And day 1, I'm eating the chicken. I'm like, this is the best thing ever. And then day 2, I'm like, okay, we still got to do this. It's delicious. By day 3, I'm like, please no more poulet yassa.
That's that repetition again we talked about.
I know, please no poulet yassa. Vince like, I told you 8 days. I was like, I'm sorry, I can't do poulet yassa. So for 8 days, I had to eat poulet yassa, and I haven't had it since. We filmed this 2 years ago, and I still haven't had poulet yassa.
Oh, jeez,
a year and a half ago, and yeah, so that's what turns you off. Same with the avocado toast in episode 6 that I make for Ray. We did 17 takes, and each time I had to take the biggest bite and make it seem like it's the best bacon avocado egg toast I've ever had in my life. And after take 17, like, Ray walks up to the counter, you know, when she gets up off the couch drunk, and she's like, thanks, what's this? And I want to say my line like, good morning, or whatever, bonjour.
And burp.
And immediately this burp just comes out, this egg burp just into Ray's face, and everyone in the crew is like, all right, we're gonna take 15 because we need to have this room out. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. So yeah, eating on screen is very different than just being able to bake and cook your own food and eat it once, and not for 8 days, Samba. I told you 8 days. So yeah.
Did Veska tell you what was in the dog food?
Haggis.
Yes. Yes, I joke with him. I said, okay, you know, he's like, so you don't say to your wife or your whoever, you say, hey, honey, I have a real hankering for some haggis tonight.
No,
it's edible. It's edible, and some people consider it a delicacy.
Under duress, I think it's edible under duress. Sure,
Yeah.
if you're forced to eat it, you will eat it. You don't willingly choose haggis, but he chose it. They asked him, "What do you want?" He's like, haggis, and I think he's just that kind of actor who wants to feel what Manousos was feeling, the suffering of it. Mm-hmm. So he made himself eat haggis for, I don't know, 2 days.
Yeah.
And yeah, even watching it still with the sound effects, I just, no.
I honestly, I don't mean to be insulting to anyone's choice of food, but I think I'd rather have elbow dog food, you know, than eat the haggis. Just a texture, you know? I could almost think dog food is like a stew or something.
Right. No. So I mean, again, the people who love it, no judgment.
Nope.
But
nope.
I would not choose that. I would choose soy tofu sushi or something that looks squishy but not that. No.
But we've used this word before, authentic, the authenticity. I mean, at least it didn't make him eat dog food, whatever, but it was authentic.
Yeah. And that's what helped his performance just be amazing. He does such a great job. He's fantastic.
What's something, and this is going to surprise you, but what's something you could suggest for someone that wants to bake and something easy, and they can maybe like impress their significant other or their kids, and then wow, Dad made some cool such and such, and then maybe they get hooked on it. Anything you can suggest, and maybe an easy recipe?
Start simple. Start with cupcakes. I always say start with cupcakes because that will help you find the texture of the cake, and it'll help you learn how to make frosting. And it's very simple, very straightforward. On my YouTube channel, which you mentioned, I think I have 2 or 3 or 4 recipes. It's like a chocolate cake, a key lime pie, cream puffs, a cheesecake, and a chocolate mousse. Oh, a chocolate mousse might be fun.
Okay.
Because that's literally 3 ingredients. You just have to put them in the right order. So something simple, cupcakes or chocolate mousse, I would start with.
Nice. Well, that's good. I'm gonna have to give it an attempt as well too. I can cook food okay in the oven, but I've never baked. So I said there's a question coming from Jen, and this is something she says. I didn't know this. Ray plays video games. Did she play video games? Do you know that?
She plays video games. She plays video games, and I love that about her. I mean, not as regular now because she's super busy.
Sure.
But she's been in video games. She's been in Magic the Conjuring, I think, when it was out.
Okay.
Early version.
I'm learning something new.
Yeah, some fans were posting videos of that, which was so lovely to see.
Yeah.
And yeah, she plays some games, and she's just had this other side, which is so cool. Like, this is something I grew up with, this cartoon, and she knows it because she grew up in Japan. It's called Barba Papa, which is like this family of blobs that can take on any shape, and then they solve problems by taking the shape of a helicopter or a bucket, like to fix the environment.
Okay.
And I was at her house. We were having dessert. I was like, "Do you have any plates?" So I looked in the cupboard. And there was all these Barba Papa plates. I'm like, "Barba Papa," and she's like, "You know Barba Papa." I'm like, "You know Barba Papa." And it's so rare to find someone who knows that stuff. So, I love how international she is because she's grown up all over the world. Yeah, she's fascinating.
Well, the reason why I brought that up, it wasn't strictly about Ray, but she also says, Jen says, do you share that passion? And what was it like for voicing Call of Duty Black Ops? Now, I know you've been quoted to say that Assassin's Creed is kind of a game that you play a lot, but yeah, talk about the voice acting, and that'll also go into a question I had too. How do you prepare for voice acting, whether it be your animated, like the Jurassic stuff that you've done, or the video games? How do you kind of portray, or I shouldn't say that, but how do you prepare for something and deliver the same performance where you're not seeing you on screen, like you're physically on screen?
I love that question. That's great because Ray's an amazing voice actor as well. She was in Monster High, which is a cartoon I was a part of as well. And you see it during her acting too. Like you see her play with levels, and I'll get into that in a second. But yeah, I loved voicing Call of Duty, Star Wars, Wolfenstein. The animations I've been in, Jurassic Park, and so many others. It's such a joy to do that because I'm a gamer. I play video games, and to be a part of that world, and not only with voice but motion capture too, is a lot of fun. I played a Wookiee in the Star Wars world, which is fun because I'm tall and lanky. And my audition was literally, and they're like, "Got it, job done, let's go." So I love voiceover because it's another medium of just having fun, and you don't have to worry about the acting with the face and the body. It's all in here. And so I love what Ray does in some scenes where when she's vulnerable, she'll play it quiet or almost like a whisper. And then there's other scenes where she'll be more in her power or coming from her chest, or other parts where she's guttural when it's hurting. And that's a voice actor. That's a performer using their whole instrument. And it's no different to when you get a script for a voiceover. You're like, okay, in this moment, this character feels sad, or in this moment this character is defensive, or in this moment this character is sarcastic, and you just find that place in your body where that will come from. I always say when you're afraid, everything is backwards. When you're tense, everything is like you flex your ab muscles and you'll hear it in the drama and the tension. When you're happy, everything is up. When you're sad, everything is down. And when you're attacking and eager, everything's forward. And fast and paced. And so you just play with those things, and that's really how you break down voice acting and acting as well. Yeah,
smile, 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 no matter what you're reading, and smile right through the microphone. Yeah, for sure. 2 last questions here, and we'll wrap things up. This is the question, the last one we're going to end on is social media, and I want to ask you something about an interview you did before talking about social media, the benefits and the curses of it.
Sure.
But this is from Grusley, and I just got to find it again. Could Diabaté feel threatened by Carol's initiative and take drastic measures to preserve his way of life? So we kind of danced around that a little bit, but maybe, she's going to take away with the luxury that he had. What do you think about that?
That's the thing. He did not come from a life of wealth. He never was successful in his life before the joining. Not only not successful with women, but also just not successful materialistically, career-wise. Probably grew up without a mom, like I said, because he took on her name. Probably estranged from his dad. That's the backstory, kind of like we came up with. So a very lonely character already before the joining. And when it happens, suddenly he's the most fascinating thing in the universe to these people. He's something special. He's immune. So what makes him immune? So they will all do whatever they want to make him happy and keep him happy because that makes them happy and it brings them joy. And so he's getting all this attention and he's getting all this fulfillment. And so he suddenly has access to things he's never had access to before, experiences he's never had access to before, maybe he has dreamed of but never had, traveling, the finest foods, the finest clothes, the finest company. And so when you have that as a person, when you go from nothing to having something, you want to hold on to that just because you've fought your whole life to feel seen and equal. You fought your whole life to be in a world where there's no racism, no discrimination, where everyone is seen as equal. And that's why he brings it up. It's because this is the world we've always dreamed of and we've wanted, and we have that now. So why give it up? Why go back to the way things were? Yes, sure, for individual freedom and all that kind of stuff, but this is the utopia we were kind of praying for, isn't it? So he's struggling with his morals. There's this ego part, which is I want to keep living this amazing life that I've always dreamt of and wanted my whole time. But also, yes, there's no racism, but at the same time, are these humans still? Are they still human? Would I want to go back to that world? If I have to, sure. But it's just kind of this struggle of yes and no. And I think that's what makes him so fascinating. So yes, I think there's going to be a lot of head clashing with what Carol wants to do because she wants to abruptly change things around. And maybe he's more, let's do things gradually, or let's maybe try to keep the no racism thing, but also keep my Lamborghinis, but also have peace on earth. And
Yeah.
is there a way to have the cake and eat it too? No
Yeah,
bakery
yeah,
pun
not
intended.
yeah, that's right. There's a scale. There's Lamborghinis. What we don't know what's on this side of the scale, but Lamborghinis are over here. It's like, oh, it's a struggle. It's a struggle.
Yeah. Yeah.
In one of your previous interviews, I saw a good one. I'm not sure from how long ago it was, but it was talking about social media and everybody that you work with on Pluribus are great with social media. And it's something you have to be good at in today's world. It's just something it's another tool in our toolbox, whether you're a musician or an actor or whatever, an athlete. It doesn't matter what it is. Social media is where it's at. And it's a blessing. It lets you connect with people on other sides of the world all the time. It's great. But it can also be a curse too. And one of the things you had noted was, and I'm guilty of it, is like you comparing yourself to others. So maybe you see like like the Tom Cruise movie. I could be a villain. I could be, but then you get down on yourself sometime. I'll see a guitar player that can just shred, and I'm like, I want to put my guitars on eBay and sell them, right?
Right.
But what could you say like to like your side of both sides of that with social media, the good and the bad? But what can you suggest to people that maybe sometimes take things a little too personal and compare themselves to others?
Well, it's hard. I mean, when I came to LA, it's the mecca of entertainment, and you can't help but be aware of everything that everyone else is doing. And so the biggest temptation is to compare yourself to others. I love social media because, like you say, it helps me stay in touch with not only friends, but with fans of work we've done from all over the world. It helps me keep my hand on the pulse of what people are feeling about the show, what they're talking about, what fascinates them. I love the whole discourse between people talking about the relationship with Zoja and Carol. The shout out to Sturgia Nation out there. That's the people who ship things, the people who have theories, the people who write reviews. I love that aspect of it because I like to keep a pulse on what's going on because it helps me also reflect on the show and my character and what I want to do. So there's the upside to staying in touch with fans and being in touch with the world. The downside is very much the comparison thing. And yes, I've had, when I did the audition for this and I didn't hear anything for 5 months, I was on social media being like, which guy, who got it?
I know, wait to see the press. Yeah.
looking it up, like who was cast in this then? And I check my friends' profiles who are also French speaking and African. I'm like, did he get it? Like, no, he didn't post anything about it. So there's that side to it too. Like I had an audition for something I did 2 weeks ago for this movie that was gonna be on Netflix, and then literally a couple of days ago I was on deadline, and then I saw they cast the role I auditioned for. I was like, bummer. So there's that comparison thing, which is just a part of being an actor on their journey in LA. But my advice would be to be able to laugh at yourself too, to have a sense of humor at yourself too, just to not take it so seriously, because it's not the end of the world when you don't get a thing, or when someone has something that you want but you don't have it. Because what I've learned more than anything is that what belongs to you will come to you. What belongs to you will come to you. It is undeniable. All right. So there's something for everybody out there. There's enough room for everybody out there. And you just have to trust that if you do your work, you do your part, you show up the way you're supposed to show up, you show up being authentically you. And that's what happened in my callback audition. The casting director is really looking for my authentic, because they're like, yeah, your character is not smooth. And then he's like more awkward. And I was like, oh, okay. And I did a weird laugh. And they're like, that awkward laugh, that's his laugh. I was like, oh, my laugh? And he's like, yes, do that, be you. When you're authentically you and you show up as you, you will attract the things that belong to you. And don't, sometimes it's good just to shut off social media, just to shut off that, because it just gives you a space in your mind to think and to be in your own thoughts. And so I love cheering other people on, genuinely cheering other people on when they've gotten something, finding that place in yourself where you can cheer someone on, and trusting that you keep doing your work, showing up the way you do, doing the best you can, and the opportunities will come for you to be able to experience what you need to experience. I've been in Hollywood for 15 years. I've been in the entertainment business for over 20 years, 25 years now. And that's what I've learned. I've learned to be much more mellow about attaching myself to, I need to have this, yeah. And just trusting that, hey, I did a great job. And if it's meant for me, it'll be for me. And like this job. Yeah. It came to me. It was meant for me, which is incredible.
I sound like a stuck record saying this, but I'm a firm believer of things are, what's the phrase I say? Things happen for a reason. Obviously I didn't coin that phrase. It's been said a million times, but I'm a believer in it. Things happen for a reason. Sometimes even bad things. I don't like to think about the bad things, but good things, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. But also too, the chances of that, by putting positivity out into the universe, I find it comes back. Negativity can come back tenfold, just as bad. But putting positivity out there, it's amazing. And if you're just wishing someone a good day and doing something good for somebody else, it comes back to you by not even meaning to.
Yeah, and being that's another thing. It's like cheering other people on, but also being of service if you can. If you're in a funk, do something for someone else. Yeah, and that will just fix so much. Like the baking class today was for charity, and we have a lot of members of the queer community in our fandom from our Fagme's death, and it's just doing something to give back and to help them feel safe and seen in a world where right now they don't feel safe or seen and appreciated. And so give back, be of service, and then you take the focus off you make it about someone else, and that lightens things up, and like you say, things will flow. That's and right. The good you do will come back to you. And don't do it just because you're like, if I do something good, it's going to come back to me. Because that's the wrong intention. Do it genuinely out of wanting to help somebody.
It's like these people that will try to do viral videos, and they'll go out and they'll film themselves giving money to a homeless person. Like that's, or they say, hey, I gave my coat today to a homeless person. It's like, just don't say anything. Sometimes the best deed is, unspoken, right?
You don't need to show it.
No, exactly. And I guess the perfect way to end this, just like we talked about earlier that you said in your stand-up career, is like, hey, I woke up today. So, we wake up and we have 6 Lamborghinis, great. But if we wake up, that's even better, right?
Yeah. So that's why you're alive, and every day is a new opportunity to experience something fun and new and recreate yourself.
That's right. Well, in closing here, it's very nice to speak with you, and I'm very, very happy for you for this role, because you're an incredible talent. You're a wonderful person to speak with. I can just imagine what's next for you, what's going to come your way, and the world
Eric.
Getting to see you now with this platform is nice, because now you're on everyone's radar, and I can just imagine what we're going to see next, and I'm really excited for you.
Thank you, Eric. It's just been fun to finally chat with you, and love all the work that you've been covering since Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul and now Pluribus. And this show, I'm just so happy that it's resonated with so many people, and that my character, even though it's just 2 episodes this season, has resonated with so many people, whether you love to hate him or hate to love him. It's just so fun to walk down the street and someone shouting out of their car, "Pluribus, I love you, man!" And
Yes.
you're like, ah.
It feels like more than two though, because your character's so they're so powerful that I mean, looking back, I feel like I've seen you more. I bet you a lot of fans feel that too, and that's good.
I mean, no, I love the scenes I've been given and the moments I've been given, the layers I've been given, and I'm so excited to see where they take this. And I'm giving them all the time they need. I dropped off a cheesecake the other day in the writer's room too. I was like, so anyway, everyone's asking when, and it's like, we're just doing the best we can and just chugging along. And I'm like, all right, Vince, just know we're eager to keep going. So they're working hard, and I trust them with all my heart and soul that they'll come up with something beautiful for season 2, and I can't wait.
I can't either. And we have a great community in this Gilliverse. The fans are great. I love doing it. I really like being part of this and learning from our chat members and just speaking as well with the cast and crew. It's wonderful. So listen, I'm going to say goodbye to you off here. Don't go away. I'll say goodbye. And thanks to the staff tonight at Sony for assistance as well. They've been really, really great working with me as an intermediary here. And it's a pleasure. It's just everyone is happy about doing this show, and I love it.
Hey, happiness is contagious.
It sure is. And let's keep that going for sure, especially right now. Okay, Samba, don't go away. Everyone, we'll see you again. Watch for details here on the channel for the next episode. It'll be coming soon with more cast and crew from Pluribus. And thank you so much. Everyone have a safe and very happy weekend. Go bake something, and we'll see you next time right here on Inside the Gilliverse. Cheers.
Thanks, everybody.
That's what the kids call prissy guy with the mustache.
Thanks again for tuning into Inside the Gilliverse with Eric Broadbent. Be sure to check back each week for more great discussions and interviews with cast and crew from Pluribus, Breaking Bad, El Camino, and Better Call Saul. Please like, subscribe, and share our videos with your friends.